Yeah! Sort of. Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears. We're out here in my backyard. You've seen it in the background, and we are finally going to talk about it. This is a 1953 Studebaker 2R5 pickup. And we're going to take a look at it for the first time, and I'm going to get to tell you the story behind this truck. I'm doing this for a few reasons. First of all, I'm stalling for time on the Miata. I'm waiting on some more parts. I still haven't gotten it started. I'm having problems with the ignition pulse, and I'm going to try getting a new cam angle sensor, and hopefully that will solve the problem. The second reason is, well, we haven't talked about it yet. The third reason is because I did something really stupid, and this truck needs my attention. So, you see I've got here the battery tender. We're going to try to start this up. Before I talk about it too much, let's just take a walk around it. You know, we saw the TR7 last week, and it was really cool. And this is just sitting here in the background going, what about me? What about me? I'm a cool old car too. So, we're going to talk about it. This truck, I got this truck about 10 years ago. This truck has been in the family for decades, longer than I have been alive. I think around the 80s or late 70s. My dad got this truck along with another one. He had this truck and an M5, which I believe was a 48. And the M5 ran better. He drove it around for a while. Got a lot more work done to it and ended up selling it at some point when I was a kid. And this was just sitting in my grandpa's yard. It was my mom's dad's yard for ever since. And it sat there, and then it sat there. And then both my grandparents passed away, and the truck ended up in someone else's yard, friend of the family, my dad's friend from childhood. And it sat in his yard until he died. Kind of tragic, he died young. But I didn't want this truck to end up just anywhere. By that time I had gotten my house and I had been here for a couple years. So I said, I want that truck because it was my dad's. The truck was actually meant to be given to my brother when he turned 18. And by the time I took this truck, he was, I think, 32 or something like that. And so we agreed, he was in Texas by then, and we agreed that he wasn't going to get this truck anytime soon, so I decided to pick it up. Decided to pick up the pickup. That was really bad. I'll show myself out. So I brought this here, and I did some work to it. We'll go over some of the things I've done to it. It's definitely better than it was when I got it, but it is not very good yet. Let's take a look at the engine, because that's where I've done all the work. And you can start to see where I screwed up. First things first, take a look at that crap on the battery. Like, not just the broken seeds and shells, but literal crap. Yep, that's right. Rats moved in. You can see the little paw prints all over the engine. Rats moved in. I neglected this truck for a year because of my construction. And once I put it here, I just hadn't even looked at it or even done anything to it since. So that's what needs attention here, and it gets even worse. But anyway, you can see I've got a new belt. I've got a new water pump. I had the radiator rebuilt. This is with a triple core high efficiency radiator. Way overkill for this motor. New carburetor. Actually, I had to Frankenstein the new carburetor with the old carburetor because the old carburetor belonged to an M5 originally. So I just kind of spliced them together. There's no doubt that that gas is bad, but that is a new fuel pump. New spark plugs. new spark plug wires, new hoses. I didn't do a whole lot much else to this truck, but it didn't really need much to get the motor going. The motor's fine. The motor is not the problem. The rear brakes are gone. And I mean really gone. The last time I tried to fill up the reservoir, I heard a loud pop come out of this here rear driver's side brake. I took it apart and discovered that the spring had broken inside the drum. There's fluid coming out everywhere, and it was just not a good time. So I went down to the local parts shop, and I mean local parts shop, not O'Reilly. I mean a small business, the type of guy that has all the weird stuff for vintage cars. You know, the kind of guy that literally Jay Leno goes to for car parts. Literally, in fact, I saw Jay Leno on the way to this parts shop when I was looking for brake parts. Yeah, I live near Jay Leno. Anyway, I went to the shop and he told me that in order to get the parts that I need for this, I would have to have them custom made. And at that point, I should just get a new rear end. And since this is like a Dana 40 from, 1953, it's actually a really good size for swaps. And I could very easily put a better rear end with disc brakes. That's kind of what I'm thinking. My long-term plans with this truck is actually to do an EV conversion. Well, an EV conversion would be kind of an expensive project, but I think this truck would take it very well because there's just nothing but space here. So obviously I'd have to do a body off and box the frame rails and all that stuff, but that's stuff I have to do anyway. I already have to take the body off the frame in order to restore this truck. And then I'd have to sandblast the frame, and since I have it stripped down, I just box it and then rebuild it from there. And it's essentially just building a new car out of what I have here. And so I talked to an EV shop nearby. They do crate engines for EVs, EV conversions. Specifically, they have a crate engine that's made to fit a Ford Bronco with the 3-speed on the tree transmission, and you just put the motor up to the transmission and away you go. And so I'm thinking, where am I going to get a Ford Bronco transmission? Well, all I have to do is look in my garage. In fact, my Maverick's transmission is identical to a Ford Bronco transmission. It's a 3 on the tree, 302, with a 279 rear end. It's a total turd, but it's effectively a Bronco powertrain. And so that gives me the inspiration to put a 5-speed in the Maverick, and I can use that transmission here, and then I can bolt up this EV conversion to this with, I don't know if I'd use the Maverick rear end. I might. I mean, it's drum brakes. Fuck drum brakes. But I might. And then I'd have a complete powertrain for this truck. But anyway, enough talking. Let's talk a little bit about what I'm gonna do over the next couple of days. Obviously, I gotta clean out all this crap. I'm gonna take these are the original wheels for the Maverick and the original drum brakes for the front of the Maverick. I'm gonna take that out, put it all in the shed. I'm gonna clean all of this leaves and crap out. I'm gonna just hit it with a leaf blower, get everything out of here, and then rake it up. And then I can probably start this thing up. There's rat turds on the seat. I'm going to put something over the seat before I sit in it. But let's try to start this thing up. It's been on the charger for, I don't know. It says it's still charging, but I've had it at least overnight. I think I put it on yesterday. Let's try to start this. Okay, we're going to put the key in. And before I even go too far, I'm just going to go ahead and pop this on here, just to solve this problem from happening again. There. Ugh, so gross. So gross. But won't be a problem again, I hope. I put a trash bag on the seat so that I can sit on it without worrying about getting a disease. I don't think there's any turds on the seat behind me. We are in neutral. Gas pedal works, sort of. On, and we're gonna hit the starter. Oh. Yeah. Pretty important thing I forgot to do. Connect the battery. Something crawling on my leg. Gross. Alright, let's try this disgusting thing again. It cranks. Come on. Okay, well, it didn't start. I think it's because there's no gas in the bowl or the gas is bad. I know it does start, it does run, and I'd like to share that with you guys, but I gotta clean this thing out before I try again. It's disgusting. I can't be in there. So I'm gonna clean this thing up, and then I'm gonna put some gas in it, good fresh gas, and we'll see what happens. Okay, first up, we're gonna see if it's capable of life still. So I'm just gonna put a splash of gas in the carburetor. Oops. Just a splash. As I pour a half gallon. That's if it doesn't start, it's not gonna. Let's take this out. Yeah! Sort of. I think the gas is bad, but that's a good sign. Okay, let's back out. Let's talk about some of what I did so far. I just really kind of attacked this thing with the leaf blower. It's really kind of all I did. It's really kind of all I needed to do. There's still a little bit of evidence of activity behind the seat. I could see it on the other side. We'll go over there in just a second. But I'm not terribly worried about it. I got the hole covered up, so I will know if rats find their way back in. I started to hit this with the leaf blower also, but I still have some ways to go cleaning out the bed, but I do intend to get all of this crap out of here. I want this to be just as clean as this truck can be, which is not very. You can see here, this is where I've got to do some more work, but again, I'm not worried about it right now. I got all the stuff off the seat. There was a steering wheel there, and there's a bunch of oil residue all over the place. I had an oil can leak or something. But anyway, it has some life in it, but my guess is that the gasoline is bad. I would have to pop this thing off right here, refill that with clean gasoline, and then probably pour the rest of my gas can into the fuel tank. The fuel tank, by the way, is new. Well, not new, but reconditioned. I took it out, and I took it out to, I believe I took it to Valley Radiator. And they did, where is it? It is right there. They did a great job of redoing it, but as you can see, there's a little bit of surface rust there just from sitting outside. Actually, it sat outside in the grass for a while where a certain car currently is. And the rust, I think, came up from the rain hitting the ground and coming back up. So That was very unfortunate. Let's pop this gas cap off. Oh, yeah, yeah. The gas is bad. So I don't even know if I want to pour the gas can in here. But let's refill that. Let's refill this, and then start it up and see if I can get a minute of good running out of it. We're standing up on the bed of the Studebaker because I cleaned it out. And I gotta say, it feels really good to have it cleaned out like this. I mean, obviously I still got work to do to clean the crap off the ground that I cleaned out of the truck, but that's not something worthy of a YouTube stream. The tail lights, I did put new tail lights in because the original one, the original one only had one. I believe it came like that. And so I wanted two. So I installed this second one. I do have the tailgate. The tailgate is in my house. It's currently a decoration. I think it's really cool. The reason why I took the tailgate off was because I sprayed this whole truck with clear coat a few years back, and I actually ran out of clear coat when I was getting to the tailgate. So I decided I'll just take it off and bring it inside. And hopefully, it seems like the clear coat has served me well, because this truck hasn't gotten that much worse. On the inside, probably has. So I've cleaned the inside, at least for the most part. Oh shit, I've got a leak in here. That is water. Yeah. So I've got a leak in here. That's nice. I'm going to have to take care of that, because this is just going to rust more on the inside. The floor pans, are probably what you could expect from an old truck like this. I'm probably going to have to replace half the floor. But that's normal, I guess. So I'm going to clean that up and probably put a tarp over this truck for a while. Okay, I've refilled it, and I put a little bit more gas in the carburetor. You know, I really got to get a fuel filter on this thing one of these days. But since it's an old Studebaker flathead, it'll pretty much run on anything except for paint thinner, which is what that gas has turned into. Well, let's get this thing started again. Yeah! Well, I'm not entirely sure what's wrong, but we do know that this thing has life in it, that it will run. When I put gas directly into the carburetor, it'll start up and run for a second, and then it'll die. I filled the float bolt manually. I refilled the little reservoir on the fuel pump itself, and it still doesn't want to keep running. But I know there's air, I know there's fuel, and I know there's spark. It will start. It eventually will run. I think it's just a problem of bad gas. And that's something that just happens when it sits around for a while. And unfortunately, this is going to sit for a while longer. But I really do want to get around to this truck soon. Like, I don't know. I wanted to get to it years ago, but all these other projects kept coming up. And I just don't want it to sit in my yard forever. I'm committed to that. You know, I mentioned that this truck was my dad's, and it sat in my grandpa's yard. Well, this truck, this has there's a little bit of additional sentimentality for me with this because um, I was working on this truck when I was 16. I had uh, gone over to my grandpa's house because my grandparents' house. I had gone over to my grandparents' house because they lived just a couple of blocks away from me at the time. So it was really cool. I walked over there and told him I want to get this truck running, and he said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Um, because he had a bunch of cars in his yard, and he was more than happy to get rid of one, especially if he didn't own it. He kept everybody's junk cars. Um, so we were working on this, and he started to drain the gas. Sounds familiar, right? Bad gas in the system. Um, and we put a day in, and made a little bit of progress with it. Didn't get it started. Uh, we put a day in, and I said, okay, I'll come back next weekend, or in 2 weeks, or whatever, next chance I get. And it was, I think, 2 weeks later is when my grandpa Ted had a stroke, and he couldn't do anything anymore. He could barely talk, and he was such a cool guy. Um, so this was working on this truck was the last thing that I did with him. He was always a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and and that's why he kept all of these cars. He thought he could fix them all, and he wanted to. And I guess I took after him in that sense because uh, I'm collecting cars in my yard too. I'm even growing a beard like him too. Um, so yeah, I definitely want to get this truck running because I not only not only do I want to kind of honor those memories, but also because uh, I know that um, it's not to say that I can do better. It's that uh, I know that I stand on the shoulders of giants, and it's I have a obligation to push further, to um, raise the bar. The talents and skills and motivation that I learned puts me here. That means I need to go here. I need to go up higher. I need to do more. I need to accomplish more. Uh, I need to make something out of this truck. And this is, by the way, a very cool truck. I mean, I can't even describe what it's like sitting in this thing. It's a little scary when it's driving, but it's way cool. Anyway, I think we're going to cap off the video here. I'm probably going to put the rest of that gallon of gas in the Maverick because that is running and driving, and I don't want that gas to go bad. I'm probably going to spend some time with the Maverick this weekend because I want to try to tune it again. I want to take another stab at getting the timing right. And this time, I want to check to see what the vacuum is under load, because that will tell me if I need to advance it or retard it. I probably need to retard it a little bit when it's under load, but the being able to bring the gauge in the car with me, mash the throttle, and see and watch what happens is going to tell me exactly how much I need to retard the timing. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my Studebaker, because I certainly do, and I intend to enjoy it a lot more.